us have gotten the opportunity to get to know our guest speaker over the last few weeks. And for those of you who haven't, she is a minister at large and a member of the board of Unity. And it's a pleasure to greet her again, Doris Hopkins.
I don't need that this week. Look at me, I have a grown-up mic on this morning. I'm excited. I can hold my paper, I can look at it, I cannot look at it. I don't know that the talk is going to get any better because of that, but I'm here and I'm delighted to be with you. So it occurs to me that some of you don't know what a minister at large is. So it means that I'm simply in the Denver area. I live in Centennial, and I serve whatever church needs me. So I go to Grand Junction. I go to Unity in the Mountains, which is in Edwards. Sometimes I'm in Evergreen. Sometimes I'm here. Sometimes I'm in Littleton. And some Sunday mornings, don't tell anyone, I don't go to church at all. So I'm guessing like some of you, but anyway, so that's what a minister at large is. So I'm here to serve, and I attend all the different churches at different times, and it is my pleasure. And as a minister who is a member, I'm actually the secretary, so you're pretty excited now, but of the Board of Trustees of Unity Worldwide Ministries. And the one button, I told you the first week, but I'll remind you again, this is about both Unity organizations, which has been Unity Worldwide Ministries, and Unity Headquarters, Unity Village, for those of you who think about it that way, are in the process. Both boards have committed to becoming one organization. We were one organization back at the beginning, and then in the early 60s, they split up. They got a divorce. And we have been working our way back together ever since. And so we are committed to making that happen now. And I believe that energetically, having Unity become one organization again will be really important for all of you, because we all know that energy makes a difference. And so seeing that energetic oneness in Unity at the leadership level, I believe will positively impact all of the churches as well. So that's a little bit about that. So we're in a series. If you're in hell, keep walking. Comes from the book. Are we actually going to have a book?
Yes, we will.
Cool. So the name of the book is Hell in the Hallway, Light at the Door. Whenever it pops up there, you'll recognize it's a book jacket. And it's written by Reverend Ellen Debenbort. And so each of you who have put a prayer request, each of you who are holding someone in prayer that has had some occasion in their life, the individuals we're talking about are in a hallway. Do you remember all the different ways that we could get into a hallway? There are 8, so can we, tell me, quick. How? Sudden change will put us in the hallway. All of a sudden the doctor gives you a diagnosis. That's a sudden change. Besides a sudden change, how else might you get into the hallway? Loss. Sure. You could get up in the morning and all is well, and before you go to bed at night, all is not well. Somebody may have died, you may have had an accident, you may have gotten fired. We all know those things. That's 2. Another kind of hallway way we get into the hallway.
Just a transition maybe between jobs or relationships or some kind of transitionary type period in our life.
Sure, sometimes we choose them. I choose to buy a new house. That's a transition. It's a change. And not all transitions, not all change necessarily is bad, but recognizing it as change, recognizing it as a transition, and looking at where you are in that process becomes important. Can you think of any other ones? So there are inner hallways. Sometimes the hallway we enter is something that's a spiritual need on our own part. Nobody sees it written on our face. but we know that we're going through a transition. Sometimes they're group hallways. Remember? Sometimes if something traumatic happens to the hall community, I listened to Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin Friday night at Unity of Denver, and they live up near Aspen, and those fires came very, very close to their house. They had to evacuate for 3 days. So for the people who are impacted by our forest fires, that's a group hallway, a whole community, a whole neighborhood is impacted. If somebody walks into a school and shoots children, it's a group hallway. Even if we don't know any of those children, we're impacted by that. So that's another kind of hallway that we can be in. And what's the most important thing we can do while we're in the hallway? Keep going. And while we keep going, what's the next thing we have to do? Move our feet.
And embrace those feelings and acknowledge them.
Embrace those feelings.
Thank the feelings for being there.
Sure. And whatever they are.
Yeah.
Are they celebratory? Thank you, God, we made it 50 years. Hallelujah, praise God. Didn't always know, but we did. And it's true. So sometimes the feelings are celebratory. Sometimes they're joy. In the very moment that you're feeling celebration, suddenly it can change to grief and sadness. And what's important is to feel those feelings in the moment you're feeling them. Acknowledge them. Actually speak them out loud if you're brave enough. We all have those feelings. Can be anger, can be fear, can be sadness, can be grief, can be frustration. Whatever you're feeling, because how long does a feeling last?
As long as you make it last.
Atta girl, as long as you need to feel it. And metaphysically, that's the number 40. 40 days, 40 nights, 40 years, pick one. It's as long as it takes. Sometimes a feeling comes up in us, it's gone. Sometimes a feeling stays with us for a very long, long time. It's a feeling. We aren't our feelings. We recognize our feelings, we honor our feelings, but who are we really? Divine light, divine children of God. Your face is the face of God. That's how you show up. You are God expressing in this world. So we aren't waiting for the dude in the white nightgown to fix anything. That's not what we're doing. We're acknowledging that it's within us. It's part of our innate gift. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, called it our 12 powers. We have all this inside of us. The question is, can I find it in this moment? Where is it? I was sure it was there somewhere. In this moment, I can't find who I really am. Would you pray with me? Do you see that that's a prayer request? It doesn't say you're inadequate. It doesn't say you're not good enough. It doesn't say any of those things. It simply says, in this moment, I'm out of touch with something that I know is in here. I know it's part of me. I can't find it. Could you help me find it? Would you help me look inside of me? Will you remember for me in this moment that I can't remember for myself who I truly am? So we acknowledge our feelings. We honor our feelings. We let them go. We claim who we really are. So that's what we're doing in a hallway. Last night I had the fun, honor, privilege. I was a guest at dinner up in Conifer, up on the mountain above Conifer. And the hostess and host of that evening were expressing that their life was perfect and they didn't ever want it to change. And then at the same time, they acknowledge that the host, who is retired, had developed gout in his feet. Do you think anything is going to change in their life? They're very active. They ski. They do all these things that maybe he will do again, and maybe he won't. See, it doesn't work to say, this is perfect. I don't ever want it to change. Because not any of us have that kind of control over our life. Neither the ugly, horrible moments of our life, nor the positively wonderful moments of our life are there to stay. They are all there to come to pass. So if we're in the hell hallway, we're going, hurry up. Can this pass? Let me run as fast as I can. And if we're in the bliss hallway, we're going, no, don't change a thing. Neither one of those work very well. But acknowledging what's true, acknowledging the moment, acknowledging the fabulous stuff. Oh God, this is so wonderful. I enjoy every second of it. Clutch it, hold it. But hold it this way, not this way. We can't grasp it. We can't make it stay. Doesn't matter if you're holding your baby, that beautiful, cute little bundle of joy, your grandchild. They're going to grow up. They're going to have trouble. It's going to happen. They will cause us pain. Write it down. Every one of us who is a parent has experienced pain because of our children, because of the loss they've had, because of the paths they've chosen. See, it's about being present to the moment. And Kay?
Yes.
So Kay had a wonderful example of that this morning. So she was running off her bulletins, which wasn't working real well. She's going to write her meditation. And there were people who actually wanted to talk to her for a minute about something. 3, I think she said. And, before we come out and speak to you, we want to be centered and calm and spiritual. And we have this concept in our head that if we have not sat on one of those rocks and meditated for, minimum an hour straight with a perfect Om, that we can't be centered, calm, and spiritual. I don't know that I've ever gotten up to speak on a Sunday morning in 25 years where something didn't happen. It doesn't matter if it's as minor as, your PowerPoint slides won't come up, or as major as my brother died on a Sunday morning. I had been with him the night before. I got a phone call at church telling me that he had died. It was still Sunday morning. When you're the minister and it's Sunday morning, now could I stand up here and cry? Sure. That's fine. But could I say, I'm going home? We aren't having church when there are hundreds of people sitting there? No, that part doesn't work. So, life is what happens. We chose to be human. We chose to embrace all this stuff, and in the moment when it's really, really, really hard for us, what do? We take a breath. We pause. We acknowledge what we're feeling, and we take a step. Some days it's a tiny step, man. It could be a fraction of an inch. But we take the step that we need to take in order to become peaceful. So when we're walking through these hallways, The first thing we have to do, remember, is accept that we're in the hallway. That's another good, valuable thing about asking someone to see the truth for you, asking for prayer. Because it's an acknowledgement of, I'm in the hallway. Help me. Not fix me. Don't get to fix anybody. We'd love to have somebody fix us from time to time. But an acknowledgement. Acknowledge who I really am. After you've acknowledged it, we get to accept it. Because it is what it is. Acceptance doesn't mean I like it. It just means this is what's happening. You can say, I accept this and I hate it. You can even use adjectives ministers don't use in the front of the room along with that, if you want to. But do you hear that accepting it is what makes you not a victim? I accept this in my life. I know that it's happened. I acknowledge it. I took a breath. I'm going to move forward. So we're surrendering. That's the Christian word. God knows we don't like that word much. But we surrender to what is. If there's anything in the whole world that you can do to change the circumstance, get up out of your chair and change it. If there's nothing you can do, accept it. Surrender. Feel the feelings. And the most important part, well, I don't know, sorry, one of the important parts, I don't know if it's you have to forgive the other people. Remember, forgiving is letting go of the hope for a different past. Even if it happened 5 minutes ago, or if it happened 50 years ago, forgive it. Let it go. You can't change what's in the past. And you simply drive yourself crazy and use a lot of energy trying to do it. And it's like dragging around this big bag of rocks on your back. Every time there's someone in your past that you haven't forgiven, there's another rock back there. And some of us are pretty stooped over with rocks. And we have a chance to forgive them. We have a chance to pray. And if the prayer of the moment is, God, help me, fine. If the prayer of the moment is, God, fix it, fine. But then you have to remember, there's God inside. So do you see that it's a vicious circle or a fabulous circle? Because we get to own it. We get to be the victors. So how are we going to do that when we've got all this going on? We have to use our own consciousness. We have to see the outcome that we want to have. Remember, whether it's as a man thinketh, so he is, whether it's the Buddha saying that we are the result of all that we have thought, whether we see consciousness as the picture in the back with the, moonbeams coming out from us, whether we think consciousness is within, we have an opportunity to see, to hold the vision, to fix in our mind's eye what we want to have happen. There's a big requirement there. The requirement is particularly difficult for those of us who have gray hair. Do you actually know what you want? What's the outcome of any situation, pick your own, that you want to see happen? Years ago, when Oprah had a daily TV show, she had Elizabeth Gilbert on there. And Elizabeth Gilbert's book had just become very popular. Remember, Eat, Pray, Love. We're going to Italy to eat. We're going to India to pray. We're going to Bali to fall in love. Woohoo! Let's all sign up for that train. And Oprah asked Elizabeth, not all of us can take a year of our lives and afford to do what you did. So how are we going to find the peace that you found? Elizabeth Gilbert says, what do you really want? What do you really, really want? What do you really, really, really want? She said, if you don't put 3 reallys on there, you're going to settle for something that you don't want. And every single one of you wants something different. And I'm guessing, based on past experience, that very few of you really know what you want. We weren't trained as children, particularly if we have gray hair, to voice, express, talk about, think about what we really wanted. What we really wanted probably cost too much. What we really wanted was beyond our status in life. What we really wanted was, fill in some blanks there. So getting to what you really, really, really want requires some work. But the pesky thing about life is that if you don't know what you want, you are never, never, never going to get it. And the dissatisfaction we feel about not getting what we really want is what fuels a lot of our hallways. Fuels a fair amount of our divorces. It fuels a fair amount of our job leaving, our job changing, our shifting, our geographical corrections. Couldn't possibly be in Ohio. I need to be in Colorado. The problem is that if we don't know what we want, we don't know when we get it. And so we've got it, and then we aren't satisfied. What do you really, really, really want? It honestly doesn't matter, and we have many examples to prove this. If it's honestly just money, go for it. But you have to take the steps that it takes to make the money or have it fall from the sky, and I haven't seen those clouds. But what do you really, really, really want? Can you see it? Can you taste it? Can you smell it? Can you feel what it feels like? Can you claim it if you can see it? I have this pesky voice left over from my childhood, and I'm not blaming either of my parents for this voice, but it's what I heard, what I learned, whether they ever said it or not. And it's who I am is never enough. So it doesn't matter if I'm secretary of the national board. It doesn't matter if I'm a minister at large. It doesn't matter that I wrote a book. It doesn't matter that I designed a harmony pendant. It's never enough. And then my lip goes down, and my chin goes down, and my head goes down, because I'm never enough. That's my voice. My guess is you have one that has your own phrase in it. And see, for us to move out of the hallway successfully and know what we want, we need to pat that part of us that has that voice on the back and say, there, sweetheart. You are enough. You have done enough. You are successful enough. Whatever your voice is saying. I can only use my voice. And if you're like me, you might remember it for all of, 15, 30 seconds. And then you might have to tell yourself again, oh, well, you're still alive. You got up this morning. Keep telling yourself, it's okay, sweetheart. You're good enough. So, the interesting thing about hallways is that we get used to them. That's really, really challenging. The first thing we want to tell someone is our drama about why we're in a hallway, how we got into the hallway, and ain't life awful? Awful. And we tell it again and again and again and again. And while we're in that endless loop, we aren't ever going to get out of the hallway. We get attached to the drama of being in the hallway. Oh, look at me. Isn't my life horrible? Now you're allowed, how long? 40 something, 40 minutes, 40 seconds, 40 weeks, 40 years. Sooner or later, if you want to get out of the hallway, you got to give up the story. And replace it with the story of what you want, what you're creating, how it's going to be, how you see it happening. You're the only one that can replace the story. You know, if we choose to be drama queens, nobody else can change that for us. Some of us get stuck in the, woe is me. And again, you can stay there. How long? For 40 something. As long as you want to be there, you can stay there. But you have the power to move along one step at a time, one action at a time, one thought at a time. And if perchance you have made it all the way to here and you're almost out of the hallway, and suddenly something else happens, and bam, you're back in the hallway, okay. Acknowledge it. I'm back in the hallway. Rats. I know how to get out of the hallway. I have gotten out of the hallway before, and I can get out again. That's the value of remembering. We don't remember to stay in the drama. We remember how we moved forward and how we got out of there. So don't make a career out of being a drama queen. Choose to heal. In the book, it says a woman named Rona Dietrich is quoted as saying, "One day you will feel your heart's healing. One day you will look up instead of down. One day you will sleep more deeply. One day you will breathe more slowly. One day you'll have more laughter than tears. One day you will feel that your faith is sustaining you. One day you will feel hope return. One day love will beckon. One day you will know that you're out of the hallway." It's possible. We can create life the way we want it to be, but we can't hold on to it. You see that that's the pesky part? We have to be constantly in the business of creating. We have to be grateful. We have to appreciate what we have. We have to acknowledge our journey. The reason we turn around and look this way is to remember how we've changed. Remember how we've grown. Remember how we survived. Remember how we succeeded. Because I know that each of you have had that experience. And I'm guessing that each of you has faced another hallway. But if we can learn from our hallways, if we can glean the gems, the pure diamonds that each of us has accumulated in our life, they are the pearls beyond price. They represent our ability to overcome. When we look at movies, when we look at people's lives, when we look at the experience of becoming a winner, we're touched. I watched this past week, Won't You Be My Neighbor, Fred Rogers. Now, you can either giggle at Fred Rogers, and we all have. Let me put on my sweater, tie my shoes. Or we can see the difference that man's life made for thousands and thousands of children. Maybe for you. When we look at someone's life who's made a difference, we get inspired. Can you be inspired by your own life? Setting an intention, goal setting, reminds me back, the last church I served was in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. And in pre-Civil War days, that was a real active runway for the Underground Railroad. In Cincinnati, there's the Freedom Museum, which is a museum to the Underground Railroad. And if you look at slaves who ran away, which required great strength and courage, they could be killed. And where were they going? They didn't know. North to freedom. What were they following? The North Star in the Big Dipper. That's not a precise guide. It's a direction. And so they would follow that. And in those days, depending on the time of the year, you could actually walk across the Ohio River. And on one side was slavery, and on the other side was freedom. But you had to know where you wanted to go. If you simply sat in your slave cabin and were unhappy, sad, and dissatisfied, you stayed a slave. If you were willing to risk everything and follow something as insubstantial as the North Star as a guide, you could arrive where you wanted to be, north of the Ohio River, to freedom. To get out of the hallway, you must know where you want to go. You must know what you want to have. And you must be willing to face whatever hardships are there on that journey. I don't think many slaves turned around and ran back to their slave cabins. Don't run back to the hallway. Remember that you have the power. You have the divine potential to create the life that you want. So, I simply invite you to take a deep breath, to settle into your chair, and together we'll look. Breathing deeply. Acknowledging exactly where we are in this moment. Acknowledging exactly what we're feeling. There are no bad feelings. Anything that you're feeling is appropriate. So take a few moments to notice. What are you feeling? Is what you're feeling a feeling you feel like holding on to, grasping, loving? Is this a feeling you're willing to release, to let go? That choice is always yours. You are 100% in control of those choices. Perhaps this is a feeling you love and you enjoy having. The appropriate action is to enjoy it, to revel in it, to dance in circles in the sun. Is this a feeling you're ready to release, to let go? Consider the possibility of at least loosening your grip, relaxing your hands, opening your palms. If it doesn't leave immediately, that's okay. But choosing not to clutch it to you, simply relaxing your hold on it is often enough to allow it to disappear. What do you want? What do you really, really, really want? Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth says that all desire comes from God. There is no unholy desire. She's asked about coveting a neighbor's wife. She said, what you desire is not your neighbor's wife. It is the love that she represents. You desire love. What do you really, really want? What pearl beyond price? What is your North Star? What do you need to do to attain that North Star? What swamps and forests and mountains must you cross to arrive at your destination? Claiming what you want isn't lying on your couch and visualizing. It's taking active steps in the direction of the North Star, of your North Star. What is within your scope of activities, your scope of choice that you can make? Taking a step towards your desired intention makes all the difference in the world. hold the vision. See it. Smell it. Feel it. Taste it. Is it salty? Is it sweet? Is it sunrise? Is it sunset? What does the day's activity encompass that takes you in the direction of your dream? Name it, claim it, own it, feel it, be it, do it. All activities within your power. We are not too old, too young, too sick, too healthy, too young. We are exactly what we are in this moment. We accept that. We accept what is. Sometimes we audaciously even love what is. And we use what is as a stepping stone to what we want to be. Breathing in, breathing out. Participating in the giving and receiving of life. We pause together in the stillness. I am grateful I woke up this morning. I am grateful I sat up, I stood up, and I took the steps necessary to bring me to this spot. I am grateful. I am grateful for my life. I am grateful for my experiences. I am grateful for the journey that has brought me to this moment. And I am grateful for the opportunity to move from this spot to the one that I want, that I am claiming now. And so it is, and so we let it be. Please join in singing Hallelujah.